What's up guys, welcome back for another YgoPro Duel video. A couple of new LINK VRAINS Link monsters have been revealed, and the first one here that's going to be featured is of course a new Invoked Link monster. They definitely needed a Link monster for the most obvious reasons and have a quite heavily extra deck based deck, and if they can have something like a Link monster, a very easy to summon Link monster that opens up more extra monster zones, that's definitely welcome. So the new Aleister has 3 separate effects. First of all, well, like pretty much every Link monster from the LINK VRAINS pack, it has 2 markers pointing bottom left and bottom right. So that's already very good. Only 1800 attacks, so that's pretty much the same line as the other Link monsters, not too high attack. It's very easy to make, it only needs 2 monsters, but they need to be, or at least they need to have a different type and different attributes. It has 3 separate effects. The first effect, as a whole, is that when it's on the field or in your graveyard, it will be considered as an Aleister. Of course, Aleister the Invoker. That's quite okay, I guess. You can use it for your fusion summoning, for example. Its second effect, I believe, it's its best effect. Well, yeah, because the other effects, at least the last effect, isn't really too fantastic. The second effect states that as you fusion summon indeed any fusion monster, you know, any of the invoked fusion monsters on the field, and you control your Aleister Link monster, you can discard 1 card, and if you do, either add 1 invocation or the Book of Law from your deck to your hand. And as you see here in the deck build, I'm running 1 Book of Law, but it's like a mass change, but it's decent, but it's just the fact that it's searchable off of a Link monster, but other than that, I'm not really sure if I would go to a YCS, I'm not really sure if I would pretty much, yeah, main deck the Book of Law here in the main deck, since you can pretty much, you know, search out another copy of Invocation if that's still in your deck. So that's quite okay. Its third effect is that when this card is removed from the field by the opponent and only by a card effect, you can add an Omega Summon from your deck to your hand. You know, the trap card that special summons, I believe, banished invoked monsters, but you know, to date that card isn't really a main deck worthy card here in today's competitive format, so it's pretty much only the second effect that's quite okay. But again, first of all, getting this card on the field, well, it's kinda, well, it's not too easy. That's I believe the perfect way to kind of announce it, right. The most common ways are of course GoFu being a 1-card Aleister Link summon, and same for Scapegoat. And Scapegoat, you know, is definitely quite easy, but again very slow. I definitely tried out Grinder Golem earlier, but the fact that you can't use your normal summon definitely hurts it, and it hurts this deck more, since again both your Spellbook Blue Boy and your Aleister both trigger upon normal summon, so that's definitely a problem. And you know, Grinder Golem probably doesn't have a place in this deck. Then again, there is some shenanigans of course, but again the normal summon is so crucial. And the main deck is very standard, right, with all the hand traps. I've based myself, I believe it was the top 8 list of YCS London, the Invoked build that topped there. But you know, if it's like competitive play, highly competitive play, this is probably the road you have to, you have to take, right, with a lot of hand traps. So let's not waste any more time, let's see a couple of example games. Alright, first example, against Spirals, of course. Yeah, why not? Currently the best deck in the TCG, I get to start. And, again, looking at the competitive way, the current format, the current meta game, I believe Invoked didn't really top past YCS for past weekend. I believe it was San Diego, right? So it's pretty much like an anti-meta deck, heavy, super heavy anti-meta deck with all of those hand traps and like a 1-card engine, you know, just the field spell / terraforming into Aleister and then, you know, go from there, right? The Scapegoat immediately opened up a couple of extra deck plays, since, let's be honest, other than Scapegoat and or GoFu going for this new Link monster, it's first of all very hard and probably not worth it. The effect is okay, it's something extra that you, for example, can search any invocation spell from your deck and add it to your hand, but that's pretty much it, right? And on top of that, you have to discard a card, so that's not really too fantastic. Sometimes it might win you the game, like search out that quick play spell card for Invoked, but other than that, I'm not really sure about this card. I believe just the most important thing is that it's somewhat easy to make, and most importantly, it opens up 2 extra monster zones, right? I used the Ghost Ogre indeed to prevent my opponent from making, or at least setting up the Dante, prevent him from getting the Dante Sur loop, so I still have a very nice chance, I believe. He does have the Ash Blossom that definitely hurts on, I believe, the Desires, but I can recover with Aleister and Purga Trio, I believe the name is. I do have the Quick Play spell, but the Farfa, that's definitely a problem. So he definitely can save his Cherubini, indeed, by tributing the Farfa and banishing my Purga Trio, indeed. And during the opponent's turn, I think I have to flip over the Quick Play spell card to go for Makaba, and he makes a mistake. He knows that, so immediately he's going to enter the game. Not really sure if it's a rage quit, but to each their own, right? He definitely could have just, I believe, like a normal summon or something like that, and then bounce, or at least prevent, I believe it's bounce back 1 set card, right, of one of those Burning Abyss monsters effects. Anyway, to each their own. Another example against Spirals again, get to start, and here is where I think, okay, it could be a very nice card opening the extra monster zones. And you know, giving you a first turn play if you have the, sadly, the one of Gofu. Rather, I go for Proxy Dragon, since again, Proxy Dragon gives you a light monster in your grave to fusion summon for Makaba. So that's probably another play you can just go for, like Link Spider and a Scapegoat token, or like a Gofu token. No, not a Scapegoat, since the Scapegoat token is an Earth monster. But again, a Gofu token, which is like a Dark Fiend, and a Link Spider, you know, Cybers and Earth. So that's definitely an option. But again, I go for Proxy Dragon, so that gives you a light. The opponent is playing heroes. My start was okay, right? Droll and Lockbird definitely one of the stronger hand traps going, well, pretty much in the current format, right? I don't need to explain that. End phase Scapegoat, then again opening the option to go for the Link Summon, and you know, Scapegoat is pretty much like a 1-card reload dragon, and I believe that's, at least this kind of play is just better than, you know, go for your Aleister Link monster. At least I go for Ragin or Radin or Ragin, I believe the name is, and eventually I changed my mind, and that's why I just left my, at least his Bagushka in defense position. I thought that was just better, prevent my opponent from, you know, using monster effects, and of course, quite important as well, the Shadow Mist was still attached, so nope, not let him search any monster. And here is where the extra quick play spell comes into handy, possibly making the OTK here. Another example, I get to start again, go for being the 1-card Link Summon, go for Proxy Dragon again, especially first turn. This is quite good again. I have the Aleister, but and the bummer, the opponent has a hand trap, and you know, pretty much everyone and their mother is running a gazillion hand traps in their main deck, mainly Ash Blossom, and Ash Blossom stops this deck in its tracks. A well-timed Ash Blossom, that is. Okay, he goes for Dante, okay, to each their own, that's good. He does have Seer, and eventually he has Graph as well. But again, I need to top deck an Invocation. I believe 2 are in the main deck. I had like another build with Grinder Golem that was main decking 3 Invocation. But again, the Grinder Golem is not really too fantastic here in this deck. The Bar burn damage, and eventually I'm going to make a misclick here where it happens. On the Graph, make a misclick with an XC, and then I just scoop it up. Beatrice again. So yeah. Anyway, last example, I get to start. Good duel against Burning Abyss again. This is, I guess, an okay opening hand. Sadly for this deck, Gofu is put to 1. Otherwise, you know, as in the YCS London triple Gofu and Gofu, opening up the extra monster zones with your Aleister Link monster, for example, get some more searches. That would definitely be very, very nice. The opponent does have the Maxi, but I don't care, right? Just at least have the face-up Aleister still, use it with the code token, and that's, I believe, very good, that you can just use any code token and your Aleister on the field to go for some extra Link Summon, and potentially, you know, Link Summon the Aleister Link monster as well. And again, I can eventually use the quick play spell card to upgrade and attack for a game. So a lot of short games, but that's how it is, right? An anti-meta deck, a lot of hand traps to stop the opponent's deck in its tracks, and then just control the duel. That's how it goes, right, in today's format. So, Grinder Golem definitely not an option for this deck. The normal summon is just to too important, right, to get both Aleister's effect and Blue Boy's effect. A lot of hand traps to prevent your opponent from playing the game. Triple Scapegoat might be a bit too much, but again, going for the Link summon in this deck other than GoFu, it's not really worth it, right? So the Scapegoat tokens are definitely important to open up extra monster zones. And like a 1-card Boar Reload Dragon, it's definitely fine. Other options, the Kaijus of course, the Elysium Fusion, but the extra deck is somewhat packed, but it's definitely an option. More hand traps, the Winter Witch engine, although I'm not really a huge fan of that. And the last effect of my Link monster does have, you know, that you can search the trap card, the Omega Summon, but that card isn't really too fantastic. So all in all, the Invoked Link monster isn't really too fantastic. The fact that it's somewhat easy to summon with, you know, Scapegoat GoFu, and yeah, I believe the most important thing is that it opens up 2 extra monster zones. Okay, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching and feel free to leave a comment or like if you enjoyed the video. Lithium signing out. Peace.